Hello, Grace. This is Pastor Bryan with a video update for you. As all of you know, the last 10 or 11 months have been really strange. We've had to learn how to do church in the midst of a destructive and divisive pandemic. And at the start, you'll remember, we were on kind of a total lockdown, moving our ministry of word and song to the internet. And we were internet only. And after that, for a time, we were doing outdoor services in a field next to the gym. After that, we went to two services in the sanctuary, one at 9 o'clock in the morning and another at 11 o'clock in the morning. And we even acquired an air purification system that circulates and cleans the air in the sanctuary 7 times an hour. Today, have made this video to tell you that on Sunday, January the 24th, 2021, we will be returning to one united service in the sanctuary, and again, starting at our old familiar time of 10:30 in the morning. So this means that some things are changing and some things are remaining the same. So our congregation remains united in our calling to worship Jesus as Lord, and united in our longing to see His name and His word and His teachings loved and exalted all over Rapides Parish and beyond. But I do expect that the end of our exile, if I can put it that way, is going to be a process. It's going to feel a lot more like a process than a moment. In fact, the end of Israel's exile in the Old Testament was also a process. There was an initial group of Jews who returned to Jerusalem at the end of the exile, but not everybody was home in Jerusalem right away. There was a gradual process whereby more and more of the exiles came home over the course of time. And I expect that our return from exile is going to be similar to that. Not everyone in our congregation is ready to come back yet. Some of you are quarantined right now, or you're sick. And I think, if memory serves, it's a minimum 11-day quarantine from onset of symptoms, all that kind of stuff. So obviously, if you're quarantined or if you're sick, we are asking you to stay home until you are well. Some of you are not ready to come back yet, and you have other reasons. Maybe you remain concerned about your peculiar vulnerability to the virus, if you are more significantly vulnerable than the general population. Maybe you are convinced that what you need to do right now is remain at home until you can get the vaccine. And so to you, if any of that applies to you, I'd want to say 3 things to you. First, you are free. That is, you're free in Christ. That is, you are at liberty to remain at home, to wait to rejoin us, and I'm not going to seek to bind your conscience on this matter, okay? You're free. Don't hear this return to one united service as a conviction on my part or on the part of your elders that the virus doesn't exist anymore, or that nobody should care, or that nobody should be cautious, or that we think the worst of anyone who is still very concerned, who still remains very concerned and very cautious. So that's not what a return to one service means. While you're going to see that we're going to be lifting the language of exile, it's not because we think that the virus is not a real threat for some folks in our midst. Now, if you are still convinced that you need to remain at home right now, again, you're absolutely free to do so. That's the first thing I want to make clear. The second thing I want to say is that all of us have something in common, apart from our love for Jesus, our desire that His word would go out in our community, and our desire to love one another as we love ourselves. Beyond that, we have another thing in common, and that is we are human beings, and human beings are creatures of habit, okay? Creatures of habit. And I want you to take seriously the human tendency to form habits, both good and bad. In other words, I'm going to ask that when the time comes for you to rejoin us, make sure you do. Because to borrow language from Newton's laws, Sir Isaac Newton's laws, an object in motion tends to remain in motion, and an object at rest tends to remain at rest. If I can borrow that language, a Christian who joins the fellowship of God's assembled people will tend to keep joining together with the fellowship of God's people. And a Christian who stays at home will tend to remain at home for a very long time. So what I'm saying is, when the time comes for you to rejoin us, the only thing I'm saying is take seriously that you are a creature of habit. And it might be a bit of a struggle for you to change the habit. So anticipate that challenge and anticipate that temptation. If you know that today, you'll be able to wisely navigate the struggle later. Third, if you are staying home right now and you plan to continue to do so, let me know. We've got a link on the website where you can arrange for a pastoral visit. You can request a pastoral visit. And so if you're part of the Grace family and you've gone for, say, 10 months, or maybe less, but let's just say you've gone 10 months without any kind of pastoral visitation, especially if you've gone for that long without the Lord's Supper, that is not good. And we need to remedy that. And I have visited many of you who are staying home right now. I really, really want to make sure that I haven't missed anybody by accident. So if you could help me in that way, I would really appreciate it so much. That if you know that you're staying at home and remaining at home right now, communicate with me. You can use the website or just contact me directly and let me know so that I can make sure that I still get to see you, that we can pray together, that we can share the Lord's Supper together. That's so important, perhaps more important right now than it ever has been. So, as I said earlier, some things are changing and some things are remaining the same. We are still encouraging everyone who attends services to wear masks and to be mindful of social distancing. Now, I know that there are differences of opinion about masks and social distancing and other things related to the pandemic in our own congregation. I know that different folks have different convictions on these things, and sometimes it feels like for every one or two topics related to this virus, there are like 6 or 7 different competing opinions. So if you were going to ask me, do I think that masks and practicing social distancing are the right things for us right now? They're the sound things for us right now. We have to do them all the time. I would say I don't know for certain. What I do know, though, is that we as a church have decided to practice those things for now. That's part of how we as a people have decided to care for each other in our particular place here in Alexandria and in our particular historical moment. And so if you're going to ask me if I know all of the science regarding masks and distancing and all that, my answer is no, I don't. And so I don't know perfectly everything about all the perfection or rightness of these decisions. What I do know is this is simply how we've decided to navigate these things right now. So you might be wondering, what are we going to do if it gets too crowded in the sanctuary? First of all, that's a great problem to have. If the number of people wanting to join together in worship exceeds our ability to practice the protocols that we have encouraged. And so for that, what we've done is we've set up technology in the fellowship hall so that during church services, the fellowship hall is going to operate as a kind of overflow room. So there's going to be chairs set up in the fellowship hall as well as a screen with a live feed of the service. And that's going to be open every Sunday, regardless of the numbers in the sanctuary. So this overflow room is going to provide extra seating and a separate space should any of you ever need that. So in addition to uniting our two services, I do want to mention we're also bringing back the Wednesday night supper that happens before Wednesday night activities. And so that dinner time will be at 5:45 in the evening. Now, the last time I talked to all of you about Wednesday night activities, I think, was at the informal congregational meeting back in November. And I mentioned that we were still trying to build a team of people who could cook Wednesday night dinners. And so that if we could build a roster and a team of different people who'd be willing to cook Wednesday night supper, rather than placing all of the burden on Diane every single Wednesday night. Well, we are still trying to build that team. So if you are watching this right now and you're thinking, well, maybe I could do that, but I'm sure they're going to find others. We will not find others. You are it. And so if that's you, let me know or let Karen Murphy know. And in the meanwhile, while we're trying to organize that team, at least for now, we'll do a sandwich order or order pizza or something like that. So that's going to resume this coming Wednesday night, okay? This coming Wednesday night, which is January the 20th. So that's all that I have for you in this announcement, that we will still have our 9 o'clock and our 11 o'clock service this coming Sunday, okay? So this coming Sunday, it's as usual as we've done for, well, let's just say the last few Sundays. But next Sunday, which is January 24th, we're going to move back to one united service at 10:30 in the morning. There's going to be an overflow room in the fellowship hall during that 10:30 service. And this coming Wednesday night, January 20th, we'll have a meal together, and that will start at 5:45. If you have any questions about this, if you have concerns about this, if you want to talk to someone about this, please, 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 please feel free to contact me. I think if you're watching this video, more than likely you've got my cell phone number and my email address. Both of those are on Realm. And most of you can find me on Facebook, of course, and so on. If you don't have that contact information, I would guarantee you know someone that does. I know that the last year has been really difficult. It's come with a lot of blessings as well. We've learned a kind of patience we haven't had to learn before, a kind of patience with one another. There have been plenty of things that we have enjoyed and celebrated. We've had the birth of new babies in our congregation, as my cell phone goes off here, and we've had engagements. I myself have gotten engaged, and we've had baptisms of new believers and infants alike. And so lots of really exciting things are going on in our midst. I know that as we've navigated this whole weird time, I know that we're not moving as quickly as some of you would like, and that for others of you, we're moving far too fast. I know. This is bearing with one another in every season, and sometimes that's really hard. But our Lord Jesus promises that it will be worth it. He is still blessing us. He's still with us. He still has good plans for our congregation, for His own glory in Rapides Parish and beyond. And so please continue to pray for your elders as we seek together to know the mind of Christ and to be faithful ministers of all that God has given us. Remember that grace and peace are yours today because Jesus says so. And He never, ever lies. So hold fast to that grace and peace and trust in Jesus' promises for all of us. And we'll see you Sunday. Bye-bye.